Good evening, this is Cab, here to drive you crazy. So again, I'll make a quick apologies for any background noises that you're gonna hear. I unfortunately cannot control anything, whether it be motorcycles, dogs barking, family is setting up dinner right now, so you'll probably hear a lot of stuff in the background, so I apologize first and foremost on that. But to the main topic right now, it is talking about exactly what you see right there in the title of this video, which is about driving. So, when I was first making my, intro and stuff saying I'm driving you crazy, there was really nothing I had that could say I really was saying anything that was going to drive people crazy. The only reason why people would drove crazy is because the fact that they couldn't last through an entire video. I know, I look at my analytics like that, but at the exact same time, that's not the point of what this video is going to be about. So this video right now is talking about driving in the Philippines. So obviously, I've been driving for quite a while now. Actually, my dad got me, a truck when I was like 13 years old. So obviously not technically legal to drive, but at the same time, I had a truck at that time, and I got to learn how to drive slowly but surely, and eventually to where I got my driver's permit, my actual license, and where even I've had, a career in being a driver in many different fields. But the difference about driving in Hawaii versus driving here in the Philippines is something that's really having to, develop on myself. Something that I've really had to come to full circle in understanding. Like, it is a completely different ball game on how driving is from the Philippines and Hawaii. So first and foremost is the politeness of driving. So in Hawaii, there's obviously the understanding of aloha and understanding that if you allow someone to go, you show them a sign, you wave them on, you flash your lights at them, give them the signal to say, I'm giving you permission to go. Here in the Philippines, it's like a cat, if I fit, I sit kind of thing. So if you can fit through on your driving, you're allowed to go. And of course, since mostly 85% of all driving over here is motorcycles, they kind of have the reason to be able to squeeze through, go around. Maybe not necessarily always tricycles because they are a little bit wider, and unfortunately the most commonly driven vehicle here is a tricycle, which is basically a motorcycle with a sidecar, so a three-wheel for most people who don't know about tricycles here. But that's really one of those things where you have to give the understanding that if they want to go in front of you, if they want to go around you or anything like that, it's perfectly fine. Which is something that is such a bother to me because you do anything like that anywhere else, I don't care if it's Hawaii, mainland, wherever it may be, you know, those kind of things irritates people. And I know my wife is the one who tells me straight up, you have to be patient about these kind of things. And I'm saying, oh, I fully understand about the patience. I've been here enough times to know how the driving situation is, but of course, I've never been a driver myself here. And not to mention for the fact that we did just get a brand new Nissan. And not only that, a stick shift nonetheless, which is something I know how to drive, but it's been about 6 years since I've actually had to driven a stick shift vehicle. So having to relearn how to drive a stick shift while in the Philippines is definitely a different monster in itself. Second thing is obviously like the fact that there's different kind of laws on how driving is. So, double solid lines, you cannot cross over it no matter what. But if people say you're driving too slow, they will speed way right about you, driving into the other lane, oncoming traffic just to get around you. And that, again, it's perfectly fine as long as you know you can get in front of the other person. If you cause the accident, you're the one to blame, obviously. But if you can go around and do it, there's no reason that you should ever be mad at them is because they are just showing that they are that much of an experienced driver to know that they can do that kind of stuff. And that's another thing for some people in, back in, I said, Hawaii. If you drive around someone and then drive right back in front of them, that irritates people to a point where it's so irritating that you literally want to just run them over. And that's why I'm having to learn how to calm myself on that kind of stuff, because my wife did mention to me, hey, you have to have patience. And I will say patience quite a few times in this video, because it is exactly, the thing that is going to help me get through being a driver here, since that's almost going to technically be my next probably job besides my car detailing. Is my wife is trying to look to get me a job where she works as a driver, and that's perfectly fine for me because that's who I am. I'm a cab. Other things about it is honking horns. That's something that most people back in Hawaii understand. If you're honking your horn, it's basically to tell someone, hey, watch out. That's basically the only reason. Or obviously, if you're pissed off at somebody, normally you're honking your horn out of frustration at them. When you're using your horn here, it's actually kind of like, an indicator. With again, what I was mentioning about the tricycles, they don't drive as fast as a car does. So when you're technically passing them, you honk your horn twice at them to let them know you're coming up behind them. So that way, there's no reason that they may accidentally go into your lane. That gives them the notification, hey, cars or some kind of vehicle that is much faster than you is going to be passing by you to indicate that to you. And that, again, is supposed to be very common and very well known here. So it's not ever supposed to be something about frustration or irritation. And that's why for me, I have to get used to using a horn again, where it's not out of, oh, you're backing out and almost hit my car, or, oh, you cut me off, and all this kind of stuff. And which that will be my last point, which I will talk about, which is the simple fact that, like I mentioned, if you can go, you're allowed to go. So there is a lot of people who do not use turn signals, or they have no indication to let you know if they're going to be really stopping at any given point. There is a lot of stop and go, and that's just something that you either have to be very aware of, paying attention all the time when you're driving. And of course, like I said, with a stick shift, you have no other choice but to know that when you're driving, you're driving. You're not fiddling with nothing. And there is still people here that you will see are driving stick shifts and still using their cell phones, changing music on their cars and all that kind of stuff. And I am more focused on just knowing that if there's someone that's going to be turning, or there's like a group of tricycles trying to cross over in the lane, you will be coming to a dead stop, even if it is in the middle of a highway. That is just how it is for driving over here. And to say the least, it is the thing that I get driven crazy over, because I am still adjusting. I am still getting used to it, getting back into knowing that, first and foremost, I had given up driving for almost 3 weeks because of, leaving for coming here to the Philippines, having to basically just get a taxi or something like that to take me to all my destinations, having to be quarantined for 2 weeks, all that kind of stuff made me realize I'm not driving for a long time. And then immediately when I got back, it was like, oh, we gotta drive here, we gotta go there, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, and all this being on a stick shift in the Philippines, it's definitely an experience. But I just wanted to share this to say, driving in the Philippines is a completely different ball game from how I've been raised in driving. But I do believe I've become a lot better in my stick shift. I love doing that little racing, just but anyway, that's pretty much all I have to share on this video today. So I am Cab, and I am here drive you crazy. So aloha, God bless, take care, until the next video.